When World War II finally ends, the terms of peace force Finland to give up the Karelia territory to the Soviet Union. This causes 420,000 Finns to leave their homes and move to the other side of the new border. 2 years later at a Soviet border station, Finnish ex-Commando Atami and his dog are trying to go to Karelia. After the guard spends several minutes looking at his passport, they finally let him pass. In the morning, Atami finds his old house where his family was killed during the war. As he looks around, he cries at the memories that live in every wall and finds a picture of his family. Meanwhile in Siberia, Soviet Red Army commander Igor is released from his cell. A superior officer comments on the battle history of Igor's team. They burned entire villages and brutally killed civilians, including Atami's family. This is what caused Atami to take revenge by killing over 300 Red Army soldiers and become a legend known as the Immortal. The army knows that Atami is in their country, so they promise to pay Igor handsomely for killing him. Back to Atami, he spends the whole day dismantling his home and even the dog house. All the good wood is loaded into his truck, and anything useless is burned on a pile. Then Atami and his dog start making their way back to Finland. After a few hours of driving, Atami finds the road blocked by an army truck. As he's forced to stop, he sees a second truck approaching from behind. A soldier asks for his passport and takes it to the second truck, where Igor takes a look to confirm that this is his target. Igor sends out one of his men, who lights a Molotov bomb while another soldier pulls out a knife. Atami waits until the man is close enough to open the door and hit him with it, causing the bomb to set his body on fire. Then Atami drives in reverse to run over the knife soldier, which sends his body flying through the window of Igor's vehicle. Another soldier opens fire, so Atami drives ahead to grab his weapon and pull the guy through the window while running over the army truck. He easily knocks the soldier out and speeds up, desperate to escape. Igor calls a third truck for backup and both vehicles start chasing after Atami while the Molotov bomb explodes behind them. When the soldier wakes up, Atami knocks him out again and takes his weapon. It doesn't have many bullets left, so he takes ammo from the soldier's pouch to reload it. Then the man regains consciousness again and Atami forces him to do the reloading before taking his gun. The soldier is very scared and in pain, so some of the bullets fall from his hands. Eventually Atami stops in front of the ruins of an old building and lets the soldier go. Igor senses a trap and makes his thug stay in the vehicle with him. However, the men in the third truck immediately come out and shoot the soldier down. This allows Atami to quickly shoot them all in the head. Then he shoots the tire in Igor's vehicle and Igor tells his companion not to move. However, the thug moves anyway and Igor shoots him in the head too. He doesn't recognize Igor, so he lets him live and gets back on his truck to leave. Afterward, Igor changes the tire while waiting for some comrades, who arrive on bikes. They all leave together to chase Atami. Minutes later Atami changes roads, but his pursuers follow his tracks and soon they manage to surround him. Atami tries to shoot one of the bikers, but the helmet blocks all the bullets. The guy shoots back and Atami moves so it only hurts his cheek, however he still loses control of the truck for a few seconds and it goes off the road. After some struggle, Atami regains control of his vehicle and returns to the road, where he's surrounded again. He keeps a close eye on his enemies and notices that a bike suddenly falls without a rider. It turns out the man is now on top of the truck and he walks on the wood to make his way to the front to open fire. Atami hears him and dodges his shots just in time, then he presses the brakes to make the man fall. As the truck keeps moving ahead, the guy manages to save himself by holding on to the grill. He finds a chain with a hook and uses it to attack when he climbs on the hood. Atami dodges again and makes a sudden turn to make the man fall for good this time. The other bikers drive around him, but Igor runs over him with his truck. When a biker is about to open fire, Atami runs into an abandoned car, pushing it against the biker to cause an explosion that kills him. Another thug jumps on top of the truck and makes his way to the window to get inside. He attacks Atami and leaves him hanging off the door before taking over the wheel. The last biker comes closer to try to shoot, but Atami quickly disarms him. Then he takes an explosive from the driver's belt and inserts it in the bike's wheel, causing it to explode. Next, Atami takes the chain from the front of the truck and wraps it around the driver's neck to throw him out before taking back control of the truck. Now he can activate the chain, which starts rolling up and drags the thug on the hood. Soon his head is on the grill and the chain pulls so tightly that it decapitates him. With no bikers left, Igor comes closer and throws a Molotov bomb at the wood to set it on fire. Furious, Atami activates the explosives on the decapitated body and throws it at the other vehicle, so Igor has to jump out before it explodes. While Atami drives through the woods to put out the fire, Igor calls for reinforcements. Moments later, Atami stops the truck to take care of the last few flames. After giving water to the dog, he pours the rest on the overheating engine. When he touches the wound on his cheek, he manages to remove the pellet. At that moment, 2 airplanes start flying above Atami. He quickly grabs his dog and gets back in his truck to drive away. When the planes open fire, Atami drives off the road to avoid the attack. Then he drives into an abandoned barn and waits for a few minutes. The planes fire at the barn too, but they only break parts of the roof. Then the planes fly high in the air before quickly coming down to bomb the barn. Atami drives as fast as possible, avoiding the explosions just in time. He's covered the back of his truck with big pieces of wood from the barn, which block the bullets when the planes fire at him again. Soon he's crossing the forest and one of the planes flies low on its side to follow him as it keeps shooting. Atami suddenly presses the brakes but the plane can't stop in time, so one of the wings breaks against the truck. This makes the plane crash and explode. Atami waits a few more seconds but he doesn't hear any more noises, so he drives over the debris to leave. At the edge of the forest, Atami takes another look at the sky and is surprised to see nothing. The journey continues and soon he's driving near the cliffside, where the other airplane reappears. The pilot opens fire without much thought and quickly runs out of ammo, so he ejects himself and lets the plane fly toward the truck. Atami shoots at the straps holding his wood and a few planks slide in front of the vehicle, creating a ramp. The plane slides on it and flies over the truck to then crash nearby with an explosion. When the pilot lands, he opens fire at Atami and misses every shot, eventually running out of ammo. Atami comes for him but freezes when he sees the pilot smile. It turns out there's another plane coming, so Atami rushes to get the wood back on the truck and drive away. The plane starts bombing the area, killing the pilot in the process. The explosions push the truck off the cliff and into the water. Thankfully there's a pocket of air that allows Atami and the dog to breathe, but the cabin is quickly filling up. Atami opens the door and lets the dog out so it can swim to the surface, then he swims to the back of the truck to release all the wood. His family picture floats away and Atami stares at it until he passes out. Soon Atami's body resurfaces with a piece of wood. The dog swims to him and wakes him up. Moments later 2 soldiers are searching the area on a boat. They inform Igor that they found the truck, but not the body or the wood. Meanwhile Atami has made a raft with the wood so he and the dog safely reach the shore. This area is full of bodies and debris from the war, and Atami is lucky enough to find an abandoned tank with plenty of explosives. At a Soviet border station, Igor is waiting with a bunch of soldiers. Soon the tank arrives, carrying all the wood and expelling some very dark smoke. After lighting up a fuse, Atami starts driving toward the border and the soldiers open fire, but their bullets can't do anything against a tank. Then Atami drinks some fuel and spits it into the engine through a hose, which makes the tank move faster. When it's about to crash into the border, the fuse activates the explosives, causing the tank to fly over the barrier and land on the other side. The wood falls off, the tank loses some pieces, and Atami is severely injured. The presence of the dog helps him stay conscious and Atami knows he's about to be captured, so he bites the handle of his knife to destroy the wood until only the blade is left. Afterward Atami sends the dog to the woods to save it and climbs out of the tank. Igor gets ready to shoot him, however his superiors arrive and announce they want him alive. A frustrated Igor drags Atami by his leg and kicks him in the head to knock him out. Sometime later, Atami is being tortured inside a train to Siberia by a soldier who keeps whipping him with a cable still connected to the power box. When the train finally takes off, Igor sends the soldier away and tells Atami a story. He explains he doesn't remember any of his victims except for a young boy, who stood up against him with just a knife to try to protect his mother and his brother. Atami's whole body shakes in grief and anger as he realizes that this was his family. Igor reveals he chopped them up into pieces with an iron shovel and fed them to stray dogs. He also says that Atami is an abomination and not a legend, who will meet his end in Siberia. After Igor leaves, Atami screams in fury. With his hunger for revenge reawakened, he flips his body to put his legs on the ceiling and pulls with all his strength until he frees himself. The soldiers outside hear the noise and play rock paper scissors to decide who will go inside to check. Atami then retrieves the blade from earlier, which is hidden inside a wound in his leg. When a soldier comes in, Atami pretends to be unconscious. The other soldier worries because there's nothing but silence for several seconds, only to suddenly hear a gunshot and a scream. Then there's knocking on the door, so the soldier opens the speakeasy window and sees the face of his teammate. He asks if everything is fine, and his teammate nods. The soldier opens the door and discovers that Atami has cut the other man in two to use him as a puppet. The guy is so terrified that he jumps off the train. Atami drops the gun he stole and slicks his hair back with blood, growling with anger. In the main car, the higher officers are having a lovely dinner. Igor asks for his payment so he can leave, but they force him to wait and enjoy their success. Meanwhile Atami has made it to the car with his wood and takes a pickaxe before entering the next car. A bunch of young soldiers are sleeping, so he carefully sneaks around to avoid waking them up. A soldier comes out to pee and Atami enters another car just in time. Here he finds more sleeping men and one coming back from his break. Atami immediately throws the pickaxe into his mouth to kill him, and when he turns around, he discovers another awake man. He immediately lifts his bed to keep him muffled and stabs him multiple times until he's dead. Suddenly the train shakes and a sleeping soldier drops a bottle, which shatters on the floor. Nobody wakes up, but now Atami has to step on the shards while bottling up the pain. The dripping blood from the bed wakes up the soldier underneath, so Atami lies down on the floor and rolls under another bed. The pain of the glass shards is unbearable, but he manages to stay silent, even when his hand accidentally activates a mousetrap. At that moment the bed with the dead soldier breaks and the body falls on top of the other guy, so he groans in pain and wakes everyone up. Atami runs to the exit and retrieves his pickaxe, which he then uses on the other side to lock the door. The next car is full of guards on duty, so Atami climbs on it and walks on the roof. Unfortunately, he's hit by a pipe from a water tower and his body falls through the roof into the car with the guards. All the men get their weapons ready, so Atami uses the pipe as a shield and the bouncing bullets kill 2 soldiers. Then he takes their weapons and shoots a few more guards, creating a pile of bodies that protects him from the rest of the men. He stays hidden until the guards waste all their ammo, then he jumps out and shoots them all to death. Hearing all the commotion, Igor leaves the table to investigate. He sees the gunfight in the other car and decides to release it since he's not getting paid anyway. Atami comes out and watches how the train with Igor leaves him behind, but he also realizes that the thing next to him is a missile. Meanwhile, Igor returns to the table and casually slashes an officer's neck, then he pulls out a gun and shoots everyone except for the boss. The terrified man finally offers a suitcase with money and Igor smiles, only to shoot him as well. The awakened soldiers are now searching the cars and find the massacre left by Atami. When they make it outside, the missile is activated and its fire burns many of them. Atami is riding with the missile, which soon hits the main train and sends him flying through the door. Atami immediately jumps on Igor and a vicious fight begins. The men use any item within their reach, like bottles, furniture, and even the drapes. After exchanging many blows, Igor manages to overpower Atami and leaves him under a table while trying to leave with the money. However, Atami comes back for more and they stumble into the kitchen. Igor pushes Atami's head into the sink to try to drown him and they start stabbing each other with forks. After a few more blows, Igor throws Atami on the floor and starts hitting him with a tool. Then he grabs a shovel and hits Atami again to send him flying outside. As Atami lands on the missile platform, Igor asks for his last words. Atami spits out a bolt he took from the missile's base and hits the brakes while the missile flies into the train. It drills Igor's skull before blowing up in a huge explosion. At the Finnish border, 2 soldiers hear some strange noises. Suddenly Atami arrives on a cart full of his wood. He shows them his burnt passport and he's allowed to pass. Sometime later, Atami is building a house in the woods when his dog suddenly starts to bark. A group of strangers approaches them and Atami gets ready to fight, but they're actually here to help. Atami can only cry as he accepts their kindness. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you can watch more videos like this. Thanks for watching.